our third talk for today, and we'll have questions for the panel at the end. Our third talk is a joint presentation from colleagues at the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Agricultural Library. Jessie Kull is the Animal Welfare Information Center, or AWIC coordinator at the library. She attended Virginia Tech and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Animal and Poultry Sciences with a minor in Agricultural Economics, and then went on to get a master's degree in Animal Behavior and Welfare from the University of Tennessee. And while she was there, her research focused on the effects of sleep and lying deprivation on cattle and on their behavior, production, and immunology. She started her career as an on-farm animal welfare auditor for the swine industry. And prior to her current position as AWIC coordinator, she worked as a AWIC compliance officer for the Department of Defense. And I'll go ahead and introduce Jennifer as well. I think I saw her pop up. Jennifer Woodward-Greene is the library's Information and Informatics branch chief. And they apply artificial intelligence for automated subject indexing and publishing of the USDA's National Agricultural Library Thesaurus, which is one of those controlled vocabularies that Rob mentioned earlier. She has a doctorate in bioinformatics and computational biology from George Mason and a Master of Science in animal nutrition. And she has developed in the past software for fast, accurate image labeling and annotation, as well as methods and a collection protocol for digital image phenotype collection in livestock as part of a USAID Feed the Future Livestock Improvement Project. So they are going to give us a presentation titled Ally or Enemy, Machine Learning and the 3 Rs. And it's an overview of a collaborative project going on at the library. Great. Thanks, Jessie.
Yeah, no, thanks, Christina, for that introduction.
Can you see the slides?
Yep, we see them.
Yep.
We're good. Okay, next slide, Jennifer. Okay, so we're first gonna start talking about the challenges to considering alternatives in animal research. Then we're gonna jump into the need for machines and technology in general in today's day and age. And then we'll dive into how we at NAL can use machine learning and natural language processing to solve some of these challenges related to the 3 Rs that I'm gonna talk about. And then lastly, we'll go over the project that AWIC and the indexing team at NAL have been collaborating on and discuss the data that we've collected so far and what it all really means. Next slide. So to start us off, and again, just to really lay the foundation for the rest of this talk, I wanted to quickly note that, as probably many of you know, the Animal Welfare Act was signed into law by President Johnson in 1966. However, at that time, it was really no more than a pet theft act. It didn't really incorporate any animal research. Next slide. It really wasn't until this 1985 amendment that research animals came into the picture. Specifically, Senator Dole helped amend the act to state that the main thrust of this bill was to minimize pain and distress suffered by animals used for experiments and tests. And in doing so, biomedical research will gain in accuracy and humanity. So really the intent of this amendment was minimization of pain and distress experienced by animals. And one way to ensure this was by establishing AWIC committees to oversee animal research. Next slide. And the act further goes to state that one of the tasks that the AWICs must determine is that did the PIs consider alternatives to procedures that may cause more than momentary pain or distress, and that their experiments were not unnecessarily duplicative? Next slide. And just to expand on that part specifically, the written narrative part that has to be provided to the AWIC committee, even though it doesn't explicitly say to perform a literature search, it's written in the regulations as you see them here, that PIs have to provide a written narrative of the sources they use to attain and justify their materials and methods. And you'll even notice that it lists databases as an example of where and how you can find this information, such as Biological Abstracts, Index Medicus, CRIS, and AWIC. which again further suggests a literature search to meet this requirement to consider alternatives. Next slide. But so what? I'm giving you all this information, but okay, what's the problem? It sounds pretty straightforward, right? You just need to consider and search for alternatives if you're conducting animal research. Next slide. Well, one of the challenges with looking for alternatives in the literature is that they're extremely hard to find. And one reason this is because typically, unless the research is focused on the 3 Rs or it's a main objective of the study, scientists don't mention or write explicitly about the 3 Rs topics, making these papers and information hard to identify in the literature because again, the papers aren't being tagged or indexed as such. And additionally, some scientists may not even realize that the method or procedure they're using would be considered a 3 Rs method. And again, don't explicitly state anything about the 3 Rs or animal use alternatives in their papers. So for example, if you look at this first citation on the slide about dairy calves, it says, this is the first study to demonstrate that pair housing improves the affective aspect of calf welfare, which suggests that pair housing is a refinement method, right? Since it improves their well-being. However, you'll notice that there isn't any mention about refinement specifically in this paper at all. If we go on to the third example, it says that these results suggest that nesting material enrichment provided throughout an animal's life may reduce overgrooming. So again, by considering the context clues and being able to interpret this sentence, we know that it's another example of a refinement method. But again, nowhere in the paper is refinement mentioned. And then the reason this is a problem is because if it's not described in these papers as a 3R, then the automated indexing technology that we're using won't be able to rely solely on the 3R's terms to identify these papers. Again, taking it back and making it hard for individuals to find this information. And again, another reason why this is because a lot of people who are searching in databases will likely use 3R's terms like replacement, reduction, or refinement in their search string to find this information. And so now that I've kind of addressed the challenge with this type of information, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jennifer to talk about how we're trying to address this problem through machine learning. Jennifer.
Thanks, Jessie, and you and the other organizers and everyone here for coming today. The problem is, as Jessie so carefully outlined, is that animal welfare in the machine age, we believe, can benefit from technological advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning, namely by using artificial intelligence for identifying or collecting relevant data, aggregating and connecting similar data, understanding through, we can find through tagging of the data, and then analyzing it with statistical analyses and interpretation that can lead us to insights and new questions to start the cycle again, that can also help us to spread the word on the latest in research and methodology that minimizes use, pain, and discomfort and stress for research animals. And that leads researchers to delivering high quality research products such as tools, methods, and peer-reviewed research and seminars. So the researchable question are sort of our experimental design here. My team partnered with the Animal Welfare Information Center here, AWIC, which I'm sure all of you, or at least most of you know, they're mandated by the Animal Welfare Act to help the researchers and research organizations like the USDA Agricultural Research Service, who we work closely with, to conduct animal experiments that comply with the law. So the AWIC team provided the data and they identified 3R's relevant articles, labeling them each article with one of the 3R's. And my team used these data with natural language processing and machine learning to build models for automated sorting of the peer-reviewed titles and abstracts into refinement, replacement, and reduction. In a moment, I'll explain briefly the artificial intelligence techniques that we use to sort these data into 3R's categories by the humans and by the machine. And finally, in step 3, I'll share the research design and results we used to compare these data, labeled again by the humans and by the machine. So of course, step 1 again was to gather the data. The AWIC team identified 1,455 articles relevant to animal welfare and labeled them as reduction, replacement, or refinement. There were 485 articles in each category. The data that was presented included the abstract, the title, the journal title, and the 3 R's label that the team had assigned. So just a quick overview of what natural language processing is. It uses artificial intelligence to make sense of natural language as human beings do, whether spoken or text. And of course, today we'll focus on text. The first step is to extract human knowledge from the text and to prepare it for interpretation, analysis, and understanding of the knowledge it contains, and the ability to identify similar or same information aggregating across or within data sets for big data or other aggregated analyses. Essentially, it turns uncontrolled text or natural language into numbers and vectors so that we can perform mathematical and statistical operations to identify significant patterns in the data. For example, for text analysis, natural language processing can use things like parts of speech tagging, which will identify things like nouns and verbs, word sense disambiguation, or identifying the meaning of a word that may have different meanings when it's placed in different contexts. Named entity recognition or understanding as an entity, for example, the difference between a geographic location name like Maryland or a human name such as Jennifer. Co-reference resolution to identify when 2 words refer to the same entity, like when Maryland is spelled out or abbreviated, or a pronoun in the context of a sentence or sentences. For example, if you say, I like Mike, he is a nice guy, Mike and he are the same entity, but I is a different entity. There are other natural language processing tasks, but those kind of get at the most related to the work that I'm going to describe in this talk. Early natural language processing approaches use mainly the typed characters for pattern recognition and rules-based approaches with regular expressions. For example, noting that words in the middle of sentences that start with a capital letter have a high probability of being a noun and also the name of an entity. This is still a valid approach, but there is a limit to how many rules one can write and an endless supply of variations and creativity in how humans can create language, text, or prose. Adding to simple character matching and regular expressions is now machine learning. It can take and analyze the vectorized text, and rather than input known patterns in text as regular expressions, it allows the machine to discover the patterns on its own. This is a great enhancement because, again, the patterns in natural language are so complex that humans could not begin to write rules to capture every possibility. Machine learning takes us down the road closer to the ability of the machine to mimic human thought. Further, as more robust approaches such as neural networks are developed, the ability of machines will improve. The most famous and an excellent example of machine learning is IBM's Watson, which defeated 2 of the best all-time Jeopardy players on live television in 2011 without the use of the internet. Only the machine learning models developed to take in, interpret, and respond to the information presented in the game was used. The technology has only grown from there. So all that's great, but what exactly is machine learning? In its simplest of terms, it is the study of computer algorithms that improve automatically through experience. It delivers results in the form of predictions or decisions, and the mathematics used to build the models is based on statistics or optimization functions. And here's a little example just to kind of give you an idea, and you can play the part of the machine here. This is a simple prediction problem. And you see we've split, there's 5 rows of data here, and we've split it into training and test. So the 3 rows at the top are the training, and we look for the patterns that we see. 1 is to 1, as 2 is to 4, as 3 is to 9. And then looking at the test set, we give new data that follows the same patterns, and 4 is to what is the missing number? And 10 is to what is the missing number? I don't know if anybody wants to shout out or write in. So this would be each of the first numbers is squared, and it would be 16 and 100. So for us just kind of to dive in and at the same time begin to talk about exactly what we've done, our machine learning approach used the same documents for each approach, and these are 2 standard ways of doing machine learning, supervised versus unsupervised. And supervised is using those labeled documents that the AWIC team labeled for us, and then followed by a classification and regression math to find those patterns to see if the machine can learn which of the 3 R's, and then can it take test data that it hasn't seen and identify those 3 R's correctly and match the labels that the team had assigned. For unsupervised, we give it the exact same data, but we don't give it the labels, so it doesn't know, and we do a clustering procedure. And we can tell the machine, you know, we want 4, 5, 6 clusters. And kind of, we got excited. We tried up to 6, and it looked like 3 was what gave us the best results in the clustering. So that was 3 R's. And so we were kind of excited to see that happen, but they gave us the best results. And we use k-means clustering for that. And so then we have 2 sets of data that both have labels, but the labels are generated by humans for supervised and by the machine for unsupervised. And then we followed with the machine labels with classification regression again. And for this, we use something called a support vector machine, was the best performing model, which I won't go into the details of that, but it's one of several choices you can do with algorithms today. So we began the process. My team intern that worked for me last summer was just a dynamite programmer, and he produced this prototype artificial intelligence and machine learning test bed so for document classification. And we're also using this for other teams at the library in addition to the AWIC. So this test bed applies a variety of natural language processing approaches to prepare the data. So there's lots of different ways you can vectorize things. We could find the best one. And then it also enables selections of various parameters when analyzing, including 4 different machine learning algorithms, and it provides for testing and visualization of this. So for both sets, the data was split 80% for training and 20% for testing of the titles in the abstract. And this test bed allowed us to try 576 different combinations for easy, robust comparisons. So here is the results. We see what's called a confusion matrix. On the left is for the human labeled or supervised data, and the unsupervised machine labeled data is on the right. The left y-axis of each matrix is the assigned label, and the bottom x-axis is the machine's prediction or guess of which label was assigned. The heat map on the right of each graph shows that the more times a label is selected, the darker the box in that column. Correct responses then would fall along the diagonal boxes. So we hope that the diagonal boxes will be dark and all the other boxes will be white. These data represent 30 different support vector machine tests for each of the 3 R's data and for the unsupervised k-means clusters. And each time different documents were randomly assigned to the training and test sets. So we could really see how well it does. This is the average confusion matrices, which were generated by averaging out the values within the 30 individual confusion matrices. In the supervised data on the left, you can see that the machine is able to predict the refinement labels most of the time, but does not do as well with the reduction or replacement labels. For the unsupervised data on the right, the machine does extremely well with all 3 clusters, 1, 2, and 3, at 94, 93, and 96, respectively. The tables below are additional metrics that mirror what you see in each of the confusion matrices. Additional results, this is a 3D graph that gives us an indication of how well the machine is able to separate the data into the 3 R's on the left and the 3 machine labels on the right. So it's a sort of physical separation that we can look at. On the left, there's considerable commingling of the 3 R's labeled data compared to the more clear definition of the unsupervised clusters on the right. Of course, the burning question is, I'm sure, so what? What are clusters 1, 2, and 3? This is where the role of our AWIC subject matter experts come into play again, in the role kind of as a teacher or a grader. The AWIC team reviewed the unsupervised clusters to determine if they had any biological relevance, or put another way, do these clusters make sense? So for fun, here are the top terms representing each machine-generated cluster. And so I'm going to leave this up for about 10 seconds and ask, do you see reduction, refinement, or replacement there? Do you see a completely different category or categories? This is what we asked the AWIC team to do. and to try not to be biased for or against the 3 Rs and to be open. So again, I'll pause a moment and then I'll reveal what our AWIC subject matter experts determined. So this shows the breakdown of the top terms in more detail for each of the machine-generated clusters, 1, 2, 3. The left or y-axis is each term, and the x-axis on the bottom of each graph is the frequency of the term represented by each bar. The AWIC team looked at the articles directly in each cluster, not just these top terms, as well as terms going further down in the frequency list to make their determination. And they went with reduction for cluster 1, refinement for cluster 2, and replacement for cluster 3. So to conclude, for the supervised labels, we found that with training the machine on the human-generated labels, it was able to identify these in a test set with an 86% accuracy. And we know that these are definitely the 3 Rs because they've been validated in advance by the subject matter experts. But of course, the challenge is always to deal with the ambiguous content as Jessie described, and more than one 3R in a paper. It's unclear if there's any 3Rs in papers. The authors are not even talking about it, although it's implicit. And then having the same terms that need to be differentiated within the context of how they're used. And for the unsupervised or machine-generated labels, the machine was able to identify these patterns with a 94% accuracy, which is really great. And these we know are relevant to the 3 Rs based on the assessment of those clusters afterwards. We may need to refine, we need to be open to that, to the clusters, so that machines can do a better job for us, so we can handle the onslaught of data that we have out there now. Removal of ambiguous terms, even on this side, is something that requires further exploration. But I think the bottom line, our question was, can machines help us do this with 3 Rs? And I think yes, machine classification shows promise to aid us in search and discovery of 3 Rs content. And with that, if there's any questions, I'll be happy. I'm sure Jessie will be happy to entertain them.